Hey guys, Cody here. It's that time of the week again to go over the astrology for the week ahead. This is for the week of March 3rd through March 9th. We are still deep in Venus retrograde in Aries, so expect those ongoing relationship reflections and considerations about self-worth and personal goals and values and desires and pleasures to still, take center stage. And if last week's Sun-Jupiter square left you feeling stretched a little too thin or a little overwhelmed, this week will bring a little bit of a shift toward more direct action. We have Mercury entering Aries, giving communication a fast, bold, kind of no-nonsense approach. Later on in the week, we have the Sun trining Mars, which I love. It boosts momentum with a blend of creative flow from Pisces and a little bit of an emotional drive from Mars and Cancer. So this can help us take, meaningful action without losing touch with your deeper motivations. So let's get into the week ahead and go day by day and what you can expect. So on Monday, the 3rd, we start off with the moon moving from Aries into Taurus, where it squares Pluto, and throughout the day, we will have Mercury ingressing into Aries. The moon in Taurus is awesome. She loves it there. It's grounding, it's stable. There's a focus on comfort, stability, and practicality. Taurus is all about keeping things, steady, and it makes it a great time to organize your plans, take your time in building the foundations, leaning into self-care, being productive, but also taking care of yourself in the process. With the square to Pluto, this might stir up some tension around control, subconscious dynamics, power dynamics, bringing things up from the underworld in an explosive manner. Just be mindful because, it's kind of like wanting to focus on your own peace and comfort and stability with the moon in Taurus, but then you're being pulled into some kind of drama or some kind of, situation outside of your control that is disrupting your peace a little bit. So be mindful of any emotional intensity that might bubble up and just try to stay grounded and centered throughout the day. With Mercury entering Aries, there might be a sudden shift in communication, or thinking. It's been in Pisces where it might be a little foggy, a little slow, a little romantic, a little scattered, a little kind of dreamy. But then it's moving into Aries where it's going to be bold, direct, to the point, sometimes a little too blunt, a little too aggressive. So if any kind of mental pursuits that you've been undergoing have felt a little sluggish or slow or kind of distracted, you'll probably notice a major difference with Mercury moving into Aries. It's a lot more direct and a lot more clear and a lot more forthright, but be aware not to rush into, speaking your mind too quickly because it might come off as impatient or abrasive if you don't handle your communication with care. Especially with Venus retrograde, our relational tensions are already kind of, high. So be mindful with Mercury and Aries that we're not, putting gas on that fire. Use the assertiveness with Mercury to get things rolling, but use the Taurus moon to kind of like stay grounded, and just avoid rushing into any kind of conflicts or any kind of arguments or anything, and don't overreact if something comes up today. Like just lean into that Taurus moon and just kind of stay in your center. On Tuesday, March 4th, we've got the moon in Taurus sextiling the sun, sextiling Mars, sextiling Saturn, and then the moon will conjoin Uranus. I love this for today on Tuesday. The moon is still in her exaltation of Taurus, and with harmonious aspects between Sun, Mars, and Saturn. This has a very steady, very cooperative, just a nice vibe overall. The moon in Taurus is all about building stability, and her connection to the sun in Pisces is going to add this emotional insight and this clarity and this vision to move forward, where Mars will give kind of the emotional motivation to the moon, and Saturn will provide a discipline, a discipline to put your dreams and your fantasies into reality. So it's a solid day for making steady progress on any kind of projects or goals or endeavors that you're undertaking. Anything that blends or requires a creativity and a practical effort. With the moon conjoining Uranus, this could bring a few surprises. But under Taurus's calm influence and the moon being exalted here, these shifts might be a little bit more inspiring than chaotic. This might be a spark of innovation or an insight about how you approach your work or a situation that gives you somewhat of a fresh perspective. If it does bring up things that are a little bit uncomfortable or jars your routines in ways that you don't like, just stay calm and be mindful and understand that these changes will often bring new ideas and a new way of looking at things that can be ultimately beneficial in the long run. Focus on emotionally meaningful tasks today. The supportive aspects can help you balance productivity and creativity, and try to let the breakthroughs that occur come naturally. Don't try to force any kind of innovation. Those fresh insights will find you, especially with the moon conjunct Uranus. On Wednesday, March 5th, we've got the moon in Taurus sextiling Neptune, moving into Gemini, where she trines Pluto. At the same time, throughout the day, Mercury will sextile Pluto. So Pluto's getting a little bit activated today, but they're harmonious aspects. So this could lend, its powerful intensity in a productive way. The spotlight today is on deep strategic communication. Again, with Mercury sextiling Pluto. Mercury's in Aries. It wants to cut through the bullshit. It wants to be bold. It wants to be direct. Wants to get to the point. And with Pluto in Aquarius, it pushes for truth and transformation in collective ideas and in innovation. So it's a powerful day for negotiations, problem solvings, uncovering hidden insights, and being able to communicate those in a way that's direct and to the point. Whether this is personal or professional, it's like conversations might feel a little bit more intense, but a lot more productive and a lot more clear. Especially when the moon shifts into Gemini, this will bring more of a mental buzz to the day. You might feel more inclined to chatter, to research a topic, or to brainstorm, or have lively discussions. The trine to Pluto might deepen that curiosity a little bit. You might be diving, if you're anything like me, you go down rabbit holes, find some kind of niche, interesting topic that you like, and you just go down the rabbit hole. This is a perfect day to go down the rabbit hole, especially with the moon in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius. You might have a long overdue conversation today that finally clears the air and leaves you feeling empowered and on a fresh, better page now that you've, got that uncomfortable conversation out of the way. Or you might be hyper focused on a project or something that you're doing and make a breakthrough after you discover, a key detail that was missing. So be bold, but be strategic in your communication today. Use today's energy to dig deep into important issues and make progress through dialogue in a way that's constructive and meaningful. On Thursday, March 6th, we've got the moon still in Gemini, sextiling Venus retrograde, conjoining Jupiter, and then the moon squares the sun and Saturn. So the moon in Gemini still is keeping things social, keeping things light, fun, curious, mentally stimulating. And when she makes her aspect to Venus retrograde and to Jupiter, this encourages, both planets are associated with cohesion and bringing together. So there's this collaborative, creative kind of vibe to it, maybe idea sharing with the moon in Gemini. You might feel motivated to network, to reconnect with old friends or new friends, and be a little bit more outgoing and a little bit more social. There might be a little bit of tension in the background with Saturn and the sun getting a square from the moon. So this kind of reminds us to balance our exploration and our curiosity and our lightheartedness with a sense of duty and responsibility. Too much talking and not enough follow through could leave you feeling really scattered and kind of all over the place, or there might be this tendency to get distracted and stay on the superficial level without really creating anything of substance. So Saturn, the square to Saturn is going to create kind of like a reality check. Lean into conversations today and the creative flow. Be social, access your networks, but make sure that you're keeping your priorities straight and you're not letting things slip through the cracks because you're distracted, having a good time and talking and learning. On Friday, March 7th, we start off with the moon in Gemini squaring Neptune early in the morning before the moon moves into Cancer, where she is at home. Throughout the day, the sun will trine Mars, which is a great aspect for getting shit done. This is kind of like the power day of the week. Thanks to the sun trining Mars, both planets are in water signs, so this creates a smooth flow between emotional insight and decisive action. I love that with the sun in Pisces, it's all about dreams and creative leadership and illuminating those fantasies and those big picture ideals that we have. But Mars in Cancer pushes for an emotionally driven action. And so this is a chance for us to align our deeper motivations with real world action and what we're doing. The moon square to Neptune today might cloud our mental clarity early on, so be mindful of that when you're waking up. Maybe, take some time to ease into the day before we get shit done. You might feel a little bit inspired or have kind of a dreaminess, but you could also be, waking up a little bit foggy. Once the moon enters Cancer, the emotional grounding will kick in, and it'll help you stay focused. You might feel empowered to take bold action today. You might find yourself getting mixed messages early on, but then regain focus or regain some clarity as the day goes on. Trust your instincts today. Take action on projects that matter to you, that feel like they resonate to you, but also be mindful of misunderstandings throughout the day, especially early on. On Saturday, we've got the moon in Cancer squaring Venus retrograde, conjoining Mars, and trining the sun. Again, the moon in Cancer is all about emotional stability, emotional security, but she's clashing a bit with Venus retrograde in Aries today, so this could stir up some tension around balancing comfort with assertiveness. You might feel pulled between nurturing yourself and standing up for what you need. It's hard to do both. It's hard to create a sense of comfort zone if you feel like you're not getting what you need. You have to kind of have that conversation and kind of bring that up, and that's going to create some conflict. So, and the conjunction with Mars can also bring up some, conflict or some turmoil, but it can also bring up the courage to confront relationship dynamics. And the trine to the sun can help integrate these energies a little bit. This might be a time where you have a heartfelt conversation that helps clarify boundaries in a relationship, or, you might feel motivated to take action within your home or your personal space to feel more emotionally supportive. Don't shy away from any emotional confrontations or any emotional tension that comes up today between you and other people. Use it as an opportunity to grow and assert your needs and communicate those boundaries, but in a way that's, careful and compassionate and considerate of the other person. Maybe you guys can reach some kind of middle ground or some kind of understanding that makes your relationship a little bit more deeper. Starting off the weekend, Saturday, March 8th, we've got the moon in Cancer squaring Venus retrograde, conjoining Mars, and then trining the sun. The moon in Cancer is all about emotional security. It's about a focus on home and family dynamics and how those impact you or influence your emotional states. But today she's clashing with Venus retrograde through a square. Venus retrograde in Aries is really taking stock and reviewing and looking at what we desire and how we go after those desires, and where are we too independent and need to be a little bit more codependent, and where are we maybe too codependent and need to assert ourselves and create boundaries and make ourselves more independent. And so this square from the moon to Venus in Aries can bring up tensions around balancing that comfort and that need for emotional security with an assertiveness and a desire to, go after the things that you want and to relate to other people in a way that's a little bit more beneficial to you and not necessarily both parties, if that makes sense. You might feel, a need, or you might feel pulled between a need to comfort yourself and nurture yourself and take care of yourself, and for standing up for your needs and standing up for kind of the things that you want. The conjunction with Mars, it can kind of amplify that emotional kind of readiness to fight or to go after it. So be careful today. But it can also give you the courage to confront any kind of relational dynamics or any kind of discrepancies that you find between your emotional needs and whether or not they're being met through other people that you're in relationship with. And the trine to the sun in Pisces, I love that because the sun in Pisces is illuminating these spiritual, romantic, imaginative, deeply emotional and intuitive, compassionate kind of themes. And so with the trine aspect being harmoniously flowing to the moon in Cancer, another water sign, hopefully this will give us what we need in order to navigate any relational tensions that come up or any kind of setbacks or roadblocks in terms of our resources and our money or our desires and our pleasures. So I'm hoping that the sun-moon trine will kind of soften the moon square Venus retrograde. You might have a heart-to-heart conversation today that might be a little tense, but it helps clarify boundaries. And, you might even find yourself motivated more than usual to create a safe space or make your home or, your bedroom or your personal space a place of comfort and a place that really nurtures um, you emotionally and kind of contributes to your overall goals in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. Don't shy away from emotional confrontations today. It may be a little prickly, but you can use today as an opportunity to grow and insert your needs with care, and you can learn from other people, what their needs are, and hopefully we can come at it from a place of balance and harmony, even if there is a little bit of tension there as we all try to establish those things for ourselves. On Sunday, March 9th, we end the week with, start the week, however you want to look at it, with the moon in Cancer, trining Saturn, nice sextile to Uranus, trining Neptune throughout the day. The sun is finishing its trine to Mars, and Mercury will conjoin Venus. The moon in Cancer is multitasking today. It's got the trine to Saturn and Neptune, but then also sextiling Uranus, and it's a lot of interesting energy. Saturn's got your back with structure, responsibility, discipline. Neptune's bringing a creative flow of compassion and empathy, and Uranus is bringing some insights and breakthroughs and shaking things up a little bit, maybe bringing some new opportunities to integrate those things. So make sure you don't get caught up in either the grind and the daydreams. Like, you've got the tools on Sunday to balance both. With the sun trining Mars, this is giving us a much needed boost of emotional and physical drive. The sun in Pisces, again, all about vision, dreams, and compassion. Mars in Cancer wants action based on what really matters to you, what really makes you feel emotionally secure. So there's this emotional momentum today where you're motivated to move forward, but in a way that's connected to our heart and our values. And with Mercury conjoining Venus in Aries, this is emphasizing that in a sense. Our conversations might get bold and to the point. And with Venus retrograde, this might not be a comfortable situation, but maybe a necessary conversation to be had. If you've been holding back on saying something important, today might be the day that kind of pushes you, Saturday might be the day that pushes you over the edge and you finally say something. Just be careful not to blurt it out necessarily or be too harsh, say something you can't take back. Aries doesn't do things subtly, it's very direct, but which can be helpful and can be good, especially when you're avoiding having conversations that you need to have. However, it can lack tact, it can lack compassion and empathy. So make sure that you tune into the Sun trine Mars emotional aspect and kind of integrate that into how you're communicating. Use the combo today for, Saturn can give you disciplined focus, and Mars is here to give you a steady drive. Uranus is going to bring some curveballs for you to react to that can maybe break up the monotony of things and provide a new and fresh perspective. And with Mercury and Venus teaming up, go ahead and speak your mind. Make sure that you're saying what needs to be said, but it's coming from a place of truth and love and compassion. Even though it might be hard truth, make sure it's coming from a good place and not from a place of impulsivity or feeling slighted or just trying to say something to get at somebody. Ultimately, this week is about balancing momentum and reflection. Venus retrograde keeps pressing on those personal issues and those relational evaluations. Are your desires, are your needs, are your values truly aligned with the relationships and the goals that you're pursuing, or are they out of alignment? And how can we adjust to those? By the end of the week, Mercury's conjunction with Venus will bring direct conversations regarding those issues and opportunities to clarify any misunderstandings that might be arising. This aspect will encourage us to communicate our needs with honesty, but with Venus retrograde, it's also time to reflect a little bit before making those final decisions or any rash impulses. Ultimately, I see this week as being, you're being called up to step up and speak our truth. With Mercury and Aries, it's time to speak what we have on our mind. There's a steady undercurrent of pushing forward toward greater clarity this week. With the sun trining Mars, I feel like there's an opportunity this week to really get connected with our emotional underpinnings and our emotional desires. What do we need? How do we need to take action in order to find ourselves more emotional security? And what kind of dreams and ideals do we have that can align ourselves with those needs for emotional security, and what can we do in order to implement those in a way that's practical and grounded. So yeah, ultimately the big shift this week is, I think, would be the Mercury moving into Aries. Definitely a vibe shift, especially with Venus retrograde, and Mercury will soon turn retrograde in Aries too. So there's the Aries part of your chart is really getting lit up with the Venus retrograde and the Mercury retrograde that's coming up. So be mindful of the stuff that's coming up, because those themes will keep replaying out over the retrograde season, and offer opportunities for growth and insight. As always, if you like this content, give this video a like. Comment below on how you see these transits maybe playing out for you. Again, always look at the house placement that these transits are occurring for you, because those are the themes that are going to most directly impact you personally via your natal chart. And if you like this content, subscribe to this page for more, because that really helps the channel, and I'm trying to grow the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy this content and want to subscribe. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.